You think she forgot you. That's the story most men tell themselves late at night. She stopped texting. She moved on. Maybe she even looks happy now. And in your mind, that must mean one thing. You didn't matter as much as you thought. But here's the truth. Most men never consider, folks. Just because a woman looks fine without you doesn't mean you left no mark on her. In fact, many men have a deeper impact than they realize. Not because of grand gestures or dramatic love stories, but because of something far more powerful. The way you made her feel when you were calm. The way your presence changed the energy in the room. The way you held yourself when most men around her were reactive, needy, or trying too hard. The problem is that most men ruin that impact the moment they start chasing proof that it existed. They send another message. They check her social media. They try to get closure. Without realizing it, they slowly turn from the man she respected into someone asking for validation. In this video, we're going to break down 10 powerful reasons why you may matter far more to her than you think. And more importantly, why the men who understand this quietly hold the strongest psychological position without begging for attention. Some of these truths might surprise you. Let's get into it. Number 1. She still feels your presence. Let's be honest about something most men assume too quickly, folks. When a woman stops reaching out, when the messages fade, when the conversations disappear, the first conclusion many men jump to is simple: she forgot you. But that assumption is often wrong. Just because a woman moves forward with her life doesn't mean the emotional impression you left disappears with it. Human psychology doesn't work that cleanly. People carry emotional memory far longer than they show on the surface. And women especially remember how a man made them feel in ways that linger quietly beneath everyday life. Let's look at a real example. Imagine Ryan, 47, from Chicago. For about 6 months, he was seeing Jessica, 42. Their relationship wasn't dramatic. No constant arguments. No roller coaster emotions. In fact, what Jessica noticed most about Ryan was how calm he was. When she had stressful days at work, he didn't react with panic or try to fix everything immediately. He listened. When conversations got tense, he didn't raise his voice. He stayed steady. Eventually, life pulled them in different directions. The relationship ended without a big fight. They simply stopped seeing each other. Months later, Jessica starts dating someone new. On the surface, everything looks fine. They go to dinners, post photos, enjoy weekends together. But small moments start happening. Her new boyfriend reacts quickly to minor disagreements. His mood shifts depending on the day. When something goes wrong, tension fills the room. And without realizing it, Jessica's mind starts comparing those moments to something familiar. Ryan's calm presence. She remembers how quiet things felt around him, how conversations didn't spiral into drama, how his stability made stressful moments feel manageable instead of chaotic. That's the thing many men underestimate, my friend. Emotional presence leaves an imprint, not the kind of imprint built on grand romantic speeches or intense passion. Those moments fade quickly. What stays longer is the way your presence affected someone's nervous system over time. Did the space around you feel chaotic, or did it feel grounded? Did she feel like she had to defend herself constantly, or could she relax because you weren't reacting to every emotional wave? When a man brings stability into a relationship, that experience doesn't vanish overnight. Even if a woman moves forward, that emotional memory sits quietly in the background of future interactions. And that's why many men underestimate the influence they had. They look at the silence after a breakup and assume it means they were easily replaced. But what they don't see are the private comparisons happening later. Moments where she notices something missing. Not necessarily you as a person, but the feeling your presence created. So here's the key idea, folks. Your value in someone's life is not measured by how loudly they talk about you after you're gone. Often, the strongest impact is quiet. It shows up in the way your calm becomes the standard she subconsciously compares other men against. If this insight resonates with you, drop this in the comments. I leave a steady presence. Stay with me because the next truth reveals something deeper. Sometimes the most powerful signal of your impact isn't what she says about you. It's the way your absence starts pulling on her attention when you're no longer there. Number 2. Why your absence pulls her. Let's talk about something that confuses a lot of men, folks. When a woman stops hearing from you, stops seeing you, stops feeling your presence in her daily life, something interesting begins to happen inside her mind. Your absence becomes noticeable. Now, many men misunderstand this moment completely. They assume the silence means they've disappeared from her world. If she isn't texting, calling, or asking about them, they believe she must have moved on emotionally. But here's the truth, my friend. Human psychology does not erase emotional patterns that quickly. When someone becomes part of your routine, your emotional landscape adjusts around their presence. Conversations, habits, reactions, even the rhythm of your day slowly reorganize themselves around that person. So when that person suddenly disappears, the mind notices the empty space. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." What he meant was that change forces awareness. When something familiar vanishes, our attention moves toward the gap it leaves behind. Absence creates contrast. While you were present, your influence blended into the normal rhythm of her life. But once you are gone, the mind begins measuring what used to be there. Not always consciously. Sometimes it appears in small, quiet ways. A conversation with someone new feels different than she expected. A moment of tension with another person escalates faster than it used to. A calm presence that once balanced emotional situations is no longer there. And slowly the mind begins to remember, not necessarily with longing, not always with regret, but with comparison. That comparison is what many men never see happening, because when men feel absence, they often rush to fill the silence. They send another message, they check social media, they search for reassurance that they still matter. But the moment a man tries to force attention back onto himself, he interrupts the natural psychological process that absence creates. Epictetus once said, "He who seeks to control what is not his own will suffer." Trying to control someone else's thoughts, emotions, or reactions always leads to frustration. But absence operates differently. Absence allows space. And in that space, people begin processing the emotional patterns they experienced with you. They begin noticing the difference between your presence and the absence of it. If your presence was chaotic, dramatic, or emotionally unstable, your absence often brings relief. But if your presence was steady, grounded, and composed, your absence creates curiosity. The mind begins asking quiet questions. Why did that connection feel different? Why did conversations feel easier? Why did tension settle faster around him? Those questions rarely appear when you are constantly chasing attention. They appear when silence allows reflection. That's why a man who respects distance often holds a stronger psychological position than the man who keeps trying to prove his value. Not because he is manipulating anyone, but because he understands that absence reveals the true emotional impact of his presence. So, here's your rule, folks. When distance appears, resist the urge to rush back in and demand recognition. Let the silence breathe. Because sometimes the strongest reminder of your value is not something you say. It's the quiet pull created when your presence is no longer there. If this insight resonates with you, drop this in the comments. I respect the silence. Stay with me, because the next truth reveals something deeper. It's about the emotional imprint you leave behind, and why certain men stay in a woman's memory long after the relationship itself has ended. Number 3. The emotional mark you left. Let's get real about something most men underestimate, folks. People don't remember relationships the way they remember facts. They remember them through feelings, not the exact words that were said, not the exact places you went. What lingers is the emotional mark someone left behind. And that mark can stay far longer than the relationship itself. A lot of men think impact comes from big romantic gestures, expensive trips, dramatic confessions, intense emotional moments. Those things can feel powerful in the moment, but they often fade quickly. What lasts longer is something quieter: consistency, stability, the emotional environment someone experienced around you over time. Let me give you a real picture of what this looks like. Take Mark, 49, from Denver. For nearly a year, he dated Lauren, 44. Their relationship wasn't filled with chaos or intense drama. In fact, what Lauren noticed most about Mark was something simple. He was steady. If she had a stressful week at work, Mark didn't add pressure. When she vented about something frustrating, he didn't turn the conversation into a competition or try to win an argument. He listened, responded calmly, and kept things grounded. Now, eventually, their relationship ended. Life paths shifted, priorities changed, and they both moved on. Months later, Lauren begins dating someone new. At first, everything seems exciting. New conversations, new energy, new attention. But as time goes on, small things begin to feel different. Her new partner reacts quickly to frustration. If plans change, his mood shifts. When disagreements appear, tension escalates faster than expected. And without realizing it, Lauren's mind begins referencing something from her past. The emotional atmosphere she experienced with Mark, not because she is trying to compare consciously, but because the nervous system remembers what stability felt like. That's what an emotional mark really is. It's not just about attraction or romance. It's about the environment your presence created in someone's life. Did she feel like she had to constantly manage your reactions, or did she feel safe enough to relax and be herself? Did moments of tension explode into conflict, or did your calm help situations settle before they grew into something bigger? Over time, those patterns leave a deep imprint. Lauren may not think about Mark every day. She may not talk about him with friends, but certain emotional experiences remind her of the difference he brought into her life. That's the kind of mark many men never realize they left. Because when relationships end, men often focus on the visible outcome, the silence, the distance, the fact that someone new entered the picture. But emotional memory works beneath the surface. The body remembers what calm felt like. The mind remembers what emotional safety felt like. And those impressions quietly shape how future connections are experienced. So, here's the idea I want you to take with you, my friend. Your impact in someone's life is rarely measured by how long the relationship lasted. It's measured by the emotional pattern you created while you were there. And when that pattern was grounded, stable, and emotionally secure, it leaves a mark that doesn't disappear easily. If this insight resonates with you, drop this in the comments. Leave a strong imprint. Stick with me because the next truth goes even deeper. Sometimes the most powerful thing a woman remembers isn't what you said or did. It's the calm strength she felt whenever you walked into the room. Number 4. The calm that seduced her. Let's look at something many men misunderstand, folks. Attraction is often imagined as intensity, passion, drama, emotional fireworks that explode the moment two people connect. But the truth is often the opposite. For many women, the most seductive quality a man can carry is calm. Not boredom, not emotional distance, but a grounded calm that makes the entire space around him feel different. You see, my friend, the world most people live in is loud, constant messages. Constant pressure, constant emotional reactions from people who cannot regulate themselves. Arguments escalate quickly. Stress spreads from one person to another like electricity. So, when a man enters that environment with calm control over himself, something unusual happens. The energy in the room shifts. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." That idea captures something many people feel but rarely describe clearly. Calm is not weakness. Calm is discipline. It is the ability to stay centered even when emotions rise around you. And when a woman experiences that kind of presence in a man, her nervous system reacts almost immediately. Her guard lowers. Her breathing slows. The constant background tension many people carry begins to settle. That reaction can feel surprisingly intimate. not because the man is trying to impress her, but because emotional stability creates safety, and safety is deeply attractive. Most men make the mistake of thinking they need to excite a woman constantly. They believe attraction comes from pushing emotional intensity higher and higher, but intensity without stability becomes exhausting. A man who reacts to every situation, argues every disagreement, or becomes defensive when challenged creates emotional chaos. Even if the connection starts with excitement, it eventually feels unstable. Calm changes that dynamic. Epictetus once said, "First, learn the meaning of what you say and then speak." The deeper lesson there is restraint, the ability to pause before reacting, the discipline to observe before responding. That restraint communicates something powerful in relationships. It shows that your emotions are not easily shaken, and when a woman senses that stability, it often triggers a different side of her personality. Instead of staying guarded or defensive, she becomes softer, more open, more relaxed, not because she is trying to please you, but because the environment around you allows her nervous system to settle. This is why calm presence often feels more seductive than excitement. Excitement creates sparks. Calm creates gravity. People feel drawn toward it because it offers something rare in modern life, a sense of order, a sense that someone in the room is not ruled by emotional storms. So here is the principle to remember, folks. Your calm is not just a personality trait. It is an emotional signal. It tells people that you can handle tension without panic, that you can listen without reacting, that your stability does not depend on constant validation. And when a woman experiences that kind of emotional steadiness in a man, it can become one of the most attractive qualities she remembers long after the relationship itself changes. If this insight resonates with you, drop this in the comments. I remain calm under pressure. And before we continue, if you enjoy exploring these deeper ideas about stoicism, emotional mastery, and masculine presence, consider joining the channel membership. Members receive additional insights and extended discussions designed to help you strengthen discipline, clarity, and self-respect in your daily life. Stay with me because the next idea reveals something even more powerful. It is about the standard you set and why. After meeting a man who truly holds his ground, many women begin seeing other men very differently. Number 5. The standard other men fail. Let's talk about something most men don't realize until much later, folks. When you spend time with a woman and bring stability, self-respect, and emotional control into the relationship, you quietly set a standard. And that standard doesn't disappear just because the relationship ends. You see, my friend, people rarely evaluate relationships in isolation. The human mind compares. Every new experience gets measured against the emotional blueprint created by previous ones. So, when a woman meets a man who carries himself with discipline, calm, and clear boundaries, that experience becomes a reference point. Even if life moves on and the relationship changes, the standard remains in her memory. Let me give you a clear example. Take Daniel, 48, from Atlanta. For nearly a year he dated Michelle, 43. Daniel wasn't flashy. He didn't try to impress people with big gestures or dramatic declarations. What Michelle noticed about him was something quieter. Daniel had standards. If plans were made, he showed up on time. If a conversation became tense, he stayed calm instead of raising his voice. When something bothered him, he addressed it directly, but without hostility. He didn't chase approval, and he didn't tolerate disrespect either. Michelle found that balance surprisingly attractive. Being around Daniel felt structured, predictable, in a good way. She knew where the boundaries were, and that clarity made the relationship feel stable. Eventually, their paths diverged. The relationship ended without bitterness, and both moved forward. Months later, Michelle starts dating someone new. At first, the excitement of something new feels refreshing. But over time, small details start standing out. The new partner cancels plans casually. When conflicts appear, he avoids direct conversations. Sometimes, he becomes overly defensive. Without consciously trying to compare, Michelle notices something: the difference in standards. Daniel's behavior had quietly established a baseline for how she expected a man to carry himself. Not perfection, but consistency. Not control, but accountability. Now, every time someone fails to meet that standard, the contrast becomes obvious. That's how emotional benchmarks work. When a man lives with self-respect and discipline, he doesn't just influence the relationship he's in, he shapes the expectations someone carries into future relationships. Michelle may not talk about Daniel often. She may not even realize how much that past experience shaped her expectations. But when she sees behaviors that feel careless or emotionally unstable, her mind instinctively recognizes the difference. And that difference came from the standard Daniel lived by. Here's the important lesson, folks. Standards are not speeches. They are not long explanations about what you expect from someone. Standards are behavior. They are the way you handle your time, your emotions, and your boundaries consistently over time. Daniel never needed to lecture Michelle about respect or commitment. The way he carried himself communicated those values clearly enough. That kind of example leaves a deeper impression than words ever could. So when men wonder whether they mattered in someone's life, they often look for dramatic proof: messages, confessions, or signs of regret. But the real evidence is often much quieter. It shows up in the standards you leave behind. If this insight resonates with you, drop this in the comments. I set the standard. Stay with me, because the next truth reveals something even more subtle. Sometimes the impact you had isn't about rules or boundaries at all. It's about the rare sense of control a woman felt slipping away when she was around you. Number 6. The control she lost around you. Let's look at something deeper, folks. Many people think attraction is about gaining control over the other person, impressing them, winning their approval, making them chase. But if we're being honest here, my friend, the most powerful connections often happen when control quietly slips away. Not through manipulation, not through pressure, but through presence. You see, many women are used to managing their emotional world very carefully. They learn to stay composed, to read situations, to anticipate reactions. In many social environments, they are the ones maintaining balance, smoothing tension, adjusting the emotional tone of a conversation. That sense of control becomes a habit. But when a woman meets a man who is deeply grounded in himself, something interesting can happen. The emotional dynamics shift in a way she didn't expect. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." A man who understands this principle carries himself differently. He does not try to control how others react to him. He controls his own responses. His tone remains steady. His reactions stay measured. His emotional center does not move easily. That stability creates a kind of gravitational pull, because when someone remains calm and self-directed, it removes the usual social patterns people rely on to predict behavior. Most men react quickly. They become defensive. They try to win arguments. They chase reassurance or validation.